Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem. Here, we're getting ready for a big storm coming in here. So, looking outside our windows here from our weather cams on top of the building here, a big storm. We're going to get another few inches of snow here, but then about an inch of rain on top of that, and then 50, 60 mile an hour winds tomorrow. So, quite the storm here. Our team's down in Texas here at the Category Management Association here next week, Tuesday, 4 to 4:30. Check them out. They're going to be talking with client Midea, Casey, and our new partner DOMO. Very excited about this. Software solution with year-ahead sales, inventory, weather, analytics, across retailers. Again, huge new software that we've co-built here with the folks at DOMO. And again, so check them out. They're going to be talking about Casey's use of this new software. Again, some of the things we'll talk about down there is, again, what we do versus NOAA. NOAA's a year ahead. February outlook said it'd be a month ahead, said it'd be warm east. We said actually be very cold east, even into March. A lot more detail. But more importantly, what this means for seasonal sales. So quantifying the weather's year-ahead weather. That doesn't change once we issue it. No, that sounds crazy because it's counter meteorology, but and then predicting seasonal sales by week, by store, everywhere on Earth. And again, I know that sounds crazy here, but again, stuff we say a year ahead versus NOAA's month ahead, where the blue line outperform them about 85% of the time, even though our forecasts are year ahead using their high key skill score methodology. And again, folks say it's impossible, but we've got 500 clients that say it is possible. So again, for 22 plus years, predicting the weather. We were on here at Fox Weather here, a client of ours, talking about the spring outlook and some of what it means for business. And again, so some of that here is just, we've had the warmest fall in 40 years, followed by the coldest winter in 10 years. Again, none of the forecasts from NOAA or anyone else really predicted just how cold this winter would be. And that's certainly been the case here. We had said the cold's in 7, so it's even colder. Spring doesn't look much better. We had the coldest in 6 years here. So in fact, this week coming up here, this week is probably the second coldest week of winter coming up here. So again, well, a lot of winter left here, unfortunately, probably all the way into March. Some of the other things we talked about on Fox Weather here was just a severe weather outlook. Again, fires are a big thing this year. I think those will be the worst in 10 years. Expanding drought west, north, and New England. Spring freeze is also a very big concern here. Again, we have I think that's going to go all the way into May again. So again, worried about farmers in the late spring. Hail we have up, but tornadoes we have way down. So again, a lot more detail behind this, but that's the high level severe weather 2025 outlook. Snow cover here this morning here in the U.S. Had a big uptick of 48% of the country now with some snow on the ground versus 29% last year. Average year would be about 40%. So, and we look at the snowfall forecast here, we're going to be adding a ton to this. Here's season-to-date snowfall according to NOAA here, but Northwest picked up some steam here lately, but they're still the least in 7 years, down about 24% versus a year ago. Southwest is the biggest loser, down 68% versus last year, least in 25 years. North Central pick up a little bit of steam here with the storm here this past week. Still fifth least in 40 years. South Central most in 4, Northeast most in 4, and we're going to be adding quite a bit here from a couple more systems here. Southeast is going to be the big winner this year with the most snow in 11 years. These bars show you the weeks across the country that are snowier than last year, and the blue line's kind of a U.S. population snowfall index. So the big week there was the 5th through 11th of January. That was our snowiest week of winter so far. We're actually going to eclipse that here. This week here is actually the 2nd that we just had here, the week ending the 15th, and then next week here coming up through the 22nd might be the snowiest week of the entire winter. So we'll see here. So snowy trends here for February for sure here compared to last year. Great Lakes are much snow, more ice coverage actually than we had last year. 35% of the lakes are covered in ice. Lake Erie is almost completely covered. The deep lakes don't turn over as much. A lot harder to get ice on them. So Lake Ontario, pretty rare to get them to freeze over completely, if not impossible. Looking at last week World Summer here, ending today, 15 and 7. It was a cold week, 10.5 cold in last year on the national scale. Coldest in 4 years, 9th coldest in 40 years nationally. Rainfall up about 45%, making the number one wettest in over 40 years. Snowfall also way up, plus 190% versus last year, most in 4 years, 8th most. Canada, just a huge plunge, 19 degrees. Again, we had very warm weather last year, but this is a wholesale change. Almost 19 degrees colder, coldest in 4 years, second coldest in 40 years across Canada. Maps inset left are the trends versus average. This big map is the trend versus last year, how our retail customers would look at it. Look at this week here, again, President's Day week, again here, again, just a big, huge plunge here. 13.7 Fahrenheit colder than last year, number one coldest mid-January President's Day week in 40 plus years, so much below average temperatures. Snowfall also up 275%, most in 10, fourth most in 40 years, and rainfall also up 128%, ninth wettest in 40 years. These are horrible trends for retail store traffic. Right after Christmas, you like to see warm, dry weather. That's not the case here. So this is cold, wet, snowy. That's just a huge negative trend for spring seasonal sales and store traffic. Good for anything left on clearance, but some of these categories we don't even have inventory, like ice melt here in the east. Big retail home centers have stocked out of ice melt because of all the little systems and moderate systems we've had in terms of snow. Another one, here's the one coming through here tonight in the northeast. So again, we might get to 2, 3, 4 inches of snow here in the eastern PA. Again, then we'd traverse these through Sunday, and then we'll see another big system developing in the Central Plains Monday, Tuesday, and then that heads east to the Mid-Atlantic again. D.C., Virginia, they've had a good winter by their standards here. So this is another system, and again, this one looks like it could come up the East Coast and be a little more impactful. So the 6-day snowfall trends here, again, second most in 40 years for this 6-day period here. Next week, a little bit of a thaw here. We'll see, not in the east, but the western half of the country looks to be warming up. Still 5.2 colder than last year, 10th warmest in 40 years, but tale of two halves. Still very cold in the eastern half of the country. Snowfall again up 270%, and rainfall again up a bit, but most in 6 years. If we aggregate these 2-week trends here, now this is the world 16 Feb through 1 March. Again, the theme is going to be cold in the central, especially the Midwest, eastern part of the country, and getting very warm and dry out west. Again, very concerned about fires in the west. This is setting the stage here again for some other big fires as we go into spring and especially late summer, fall. Max temps versus last year, inset left there, and then rainfall trends here. World 2-week outlook of rain and snow. Again, a lot here. Very stormy is the theme here in the U.S. So, folks, have a great week. We will be back here again this time next week.